in the quiet, tropical beauty of Belize. A nightmare once lived in the shadows. Between the late 1990s and early 2000s, a series of brutal murders shook the nation. Crimes so disturbing, so violent, that the media gave their unknown killer a chilling name: the Belize Ripper. Young girls vanished. Families searched desperately. And when bodies were discovered, the details were darker than anything the country had ever seen. To this day, no one truly knows who the Belize Ripper was, or how he managed to evade justice for so long. Was he a local predator hiding in plain sight? A traveling serial killer who slipped across borders? Or something even more sinister, someone protected, overlooked, or underestimated? Tonight, we go back into the heart of Belize, retracing every step, every clue, and every unanswered question behind one of Central America's most haunting unsolved cases. On September 8, 1998, 13-year-old Shirley Nicholas was walking to her school when she went missing. A fifth-grade student, Shirley was a bright student, and for her, it was a routine day until the kidnapping. For a month, her family and the authorities had no clue about her whereabouts. They held on to hope, looking for clues, reaching out to investigators, all to no avail. But on October 9th, their hope shattered when her body appeared miles away, partially submerged in a ditch along the Western Highway. It had over 40 stab wounds, mutilations so violent it seemed driven by rage, obsession, something far beyond comprehension. Her school knapsack lay nearby, as if the killer had left behind a breadcrumb, a whisper of what was still to come. People were horrified. Belizeans had never seen anything like this. Police investigated the crime scene, but there wasn't much to go on. Just weeks later, a second child vanished. 9-year-old Jay Blaze, taken from central Belize City while playing outside her home. Children had always played in those streets. It was a space of innocence, routine, now poisoned by fear. 6 months passed before her remains emerged from a shallow grave in Barrelboom. Animals had scattered her bones, but the signs were unmistakable. A slashed throat, mutilation to the face, the same cold, ritualistic cruelty seen in Shirley's murder. A pattern had begun. A predator had found his hunting ground. 2 consecutive cases, all taking place within a few weeks, made everyone fearful. People hadn't recovered from Shirley's case, and here, they were shocked to see another similar killing. What happened next was expected by no one. On March 23, 1999, 12-year-old Jackie Fern Malik disappeared during recess at her school in the St. Martin's neighborhood, an overcrowded urban pocket where parents could barely watch their children, even if they wanted to. Her body was found 2 days later in thick bush near Homeland Memorial Park. Multiple stab wounds, brutal injuries echoing those of the earlier victims. Another left arm dismembered. The killer's chilling calling card: 3 children gone. 3 bodies hidden deep within the countryside. 3 families destroyed. And the city, trembling, helpless, knowing something monstrous was loose, and no one seemed able to stop it. By mid-1999, Belize City was caught in a silent panic. Curfews emerged naturally, parents calling children indoors before the sun dipped below the rooftops. Police struggled. Belize is a small place, but they weren't prepared for something so terrible like this. While people's panic increased, the monster in their midst grew bolder, more comfortable, more calculated. On June 26, 8-year-old Erica Wills left her Waterloo neighborhood to visit relatives. People would later say she was quiet, gentle, the kind of child who made herself small in hopes the world wouldn't bother her. But the world, and the darkness creeping through Belize City, noticed her anyway. Her family didn't panic at first. Children often stayed with cousins or aunties without warning. But 3 days later, when they realized she was missing, it was already too late. Her skeletal remains surfaced in a canal near Gracie Rock Village, 20 miles from the city. Animal disturbance made the scene almost unrecognizable. Yet the mutilations, the violence, the disposal method, those were unmistakable. Her body was identified by her mother via a hairband and a tweedy ring, which Erica always wore. By this time, Tensions among the populace were rising and demands for the killer to face justice were high. Victims' families had started holding candlelight vigils. They were hopeful that Belizean authorities would find the killer. The police force issued a curfew to all underage children, but despite their efforts, the Ripper struck one final time. Whoever the killer was, he knew the waterways, he knew the back roads, he knew how to vanish. For months, Belize held its breath. The disappearances stopped, the panic dulled. But the quiet was not safety. It was only the storm gathering strength. On February 15, 2000, 14-year-old Nomi Hernandez disappeared from Pickstock Street, a crowded stretch of homes and makeshift shops. She was older than the others, stronger, more aware, but it didn't matter. 9 days later, her body was found at the mouth of the Belize River. Stab wounds to the face and neck, missing body parts, the unmistakable marks of the killer who had been haunting the city for nearly 2 years. And then, nothing. No more victims, no more bodies, no more sightings. The Belize Ripper vanished as suddenly as he had appeared, dissolving back into the swampy forests, the river currents, the unlit streets that had hidden him for so long. But the silence he left behind wasn't closure. It was a wound, a reminder of 5 young girls whose lives were stolen, and a predator who walked away untouched. Unknown, unpunished. By the time the 5th victim was discovered, Belize was suffocating under a fear it didn't know how to confront. People wanted answers, but the investigation was already collapsing under long-standing weaknesses. Keep in mind that Belize had never seen anything like it. It's a small nation. Their strained manpower, outdated tools, and a police force battling crimes on every front made it more challenging for them to catch a serial killer. Detectives worked relentlessly, yet they were always one step behind a predator who seemed to understand the city's blind spots better than anyone tasked with catching him. Leads flickered briefly, then died. If someone had told me 5 years ago that this could happen in our community, I would not have believed them, said Jennifer August, Vice Chairwoman of the Belize Organization for Women and Development, a private group that fights violence against women. In the months following the final murder, multiple reports emerged describing a man in a red car, wearing a stalking mask, who attempted, but failed, to abduct young girls in Belize City. Despite these incidents, the individual was never identified or located. In 2000, pathologist Dr. Mario Estradabran released findings that added further gravity to the case. He reported that all 5 victims had been given alcohol and drugs before they were killed and showed signs of torture. Estradabran also concluded that the same type of instrument had been used in all cases. Based on the precision of the cuts, he suggested the perpetrator might have had medical training or access to surgical tools. Investigators additionally considered the possibility that more than one person could have been involved in the crimes. No new investigative leads have surfaced in the years since, and the murders remain Belize's most significant unsolved case. In 2022, the Belize National Forensic Science Service opened a new laboratory focused on addressing the country's backlog of cold cases. During a media interview, a reporter confirmed that evidence from the Belize Ripper investigation still contains viable DNA, which is expected to undergo renewed forensic testing. When it comes to suspects, sadly, the list isn't long. The only individual ever charged in connection with the Belize Ripper killings was Michael Williams, a 40-year-old auto mechanic from Belize City who lived near victim Jackie Malik. On the day Jackie disappeared, witnesses reported seeing Williams offer a ride to Jackie and her younger sister, Adelma, though both declined. Williams was questioned shortly after Jackie went missing but was released. When her body was later recovered, he was rearrested and formally charged with her murder. While in custody, a decade-old allegation resurfaced accusing him of assaulting a 13-year-old girl. However, doubts about Williams' involvement grew quickly. 8-year-old Erica Wills disappeared while Williams was still in jail, indicating the perpetrator was still active. Williams also presented multiple alibis, supported by clients and even a police officer, and no physical evidence linked him to the crimes. As a result, the charges against him were eventually dismissed and he was exonerated. Here's what Williams' attorney said. Well, apparently, and I say apparently because this is after I have had discussions with the Director of Public Prosecutions regarding the matter. Apparently, the case was dismissed because of the fact there did not exist sufficient evidence to allow for even the holding of a preliminary inquiry. Another potential suspect discussed over the years was Lonnie David Franklin Jr., an American serial killer responsible for at least 10 murders in Los Angeles and known publicly as the Grim Sleeper. Franklin's crimes spanned several decades, with a notable gap between 1988 and 2002. During this period, Franklin married Sylvia Castillo, who was from Belize. Some observers noted that the gap in his known killings overlapped with the period of the Belize murders, and one victim's aunt claimed to have seen him in Belize City at the time. Additionally, a van associated with Franklin in Los Angeles was later discovered in Belize, adding circumstantial interest to the theory. Despite these connections, Franklin was never formally identified as a suspect by Belizean authorities, nor was he charged with any crimes related to the Belize Ripper case. He died in 2020 while incarcerated at San Quentin State Prison. After the discovery of Nomi Hernandez in 2000, the pattern was unmistakable, but the man behind it remained invisible. He seemed to float through Belize City's poorest districts without being seen. He moved children from crowded neighborhoods without a witness. He navigated highways, bushland, and waterways with ease, as if he knew them intimately. What kind of person could do this? The consistent targeting of young girls from impoverished neighborhoods suggests a predator who blended easily into these communities. Someone who knew when children walked alone, or supervision was weakest, and how to approach without raising suspicion. The precision of the wounds, along with the repeated use of the same cutting instrument, led analysts to conclude that the perpetrator possessed a degree of anatomical knowledge. As one profiler put it, these injuries were not chaotic strikes. They show intention, familiarity, and confidence in handling a blade. This has fueled speculation that the killer may have had medical exposure, worked around surgical tools, or practiced some form of skilled manual trade. The disposal sites, remote bushland, creeks, canals, and highway ditches, indicate careful planning and familiarity with rural terrain. Experts noted that the killer chose locations difficult to search and easy to access quickly. He wasn't dumping bodies randomly, one investigator summarized. He chose places that worked for him, not for us. The progression of the crimes also suggests growing boldness. Abductions occurred in broad daylight, near schools, even during recess. This points to an offender comfortable taking risks, confident he wouldn't be caught. Some specialists have theorized the possibility of more than one individual, based on the logistics of abducting children unnoticed. Others argue the behavioral consistency points strongly to a single dominant offender. What remains clear is that the Belize Ripper demonstrated planning, mobility, knowledge of anatomy, and an ability to operate unnoticed, qualities that allowed him to evade capture and fuel one of Belize's most enduring criminal mysteries. The mutilations, the repeated stabbing, the dumping of bodies in isolated or watery places. These were not random acts. They were patterns. For years, investigators revisited old leads, re-interviewed witnesses, and sifted through aging evidence, but nothing new surfaced. By 2016, the case was widely regarded as Belize's greatest unsolved mystery, a file still open, yet frozen in time, despite a $100,000 reward for information that might break it open. But while the investigation stagnated, Belize's forensic capabilities began to evolve. In 2023, the National Forensic Science Service, NFSS, took its first steps toward establishing in-house DNA testing, guided by a specialist from Rutgers University. This marked a turning point. No longer would crucial samples need to be shipped abroad and delayed for months. By early 2025, the NFSS had implemented rapid DNA technology, using the Applied Biosystems Rapid Hit ID system. With it, Belize gained the ability to process biological evidence in hours rather than days, an advance that could help connect forgotten crime scenes, identify unknown remains, and re-examine cold cases like the Ripper investigation with tools previously unavailable. International collaboration increased as well. Forensic experts from New Jersey trained Belizean analysts and police officers in death scene processing and in handling skeletal remains, skills essential for cases where time had erased much of the original evidence. Yet even with these advancements, the Belize Ripper investigation remains active but low priority as of 2025. No new suspects have emerged. No updated psychological profile has been released. And fundamental questions, whether the murders were the work of one offender or multiple individuals, remain unanswered. Still, hope for resolution has grown. In October 2025, the Belize government approved the creation of a national DNA database. Lawmakers outlined how it could enable familial searches, cross-matching with foreign databases, and renewed analysis of archived evidence. Combined with earlier FBI involvement and new genetic tools, this database may represent the best chance yet to revive a case that has haunted Belize for more than 2 decades. In the end, the Belize Ripper didn't leave a signature, he left a void. No one knows what stopped him. Did he leave Belize? Did he die? Was he jailed for another crime? Or did he simply change hunting grounds, becoming someone else's nightmare far from the city he once terrorized? Investigators still debate the timeline. Criminologists still piece together profiles that lead nowhere. And locals still whisper theories about men who behaved strangely, who left town unexpectedly, who fit certain patterns, but were never questioned, never found, never proven guilty. What haunts Belize most isn't the brutality of the crimes. It's the possibility that the killer lived among them, walked their streets, saw his own face on news reports, passed by grieving families, unnoticed, uncaught, unfazed. And somewhere out there, maybe in another country, another city, another forgotten neighborhood, a man who once took 5 young lives in Belize might have continued his life as if nothing ever happened. The Belize Ripper vanished, but the echo of what he did, the lives he stole, the fear he carved into a nation, still hangs in the air like a whisper carried by the river where his final victim was found. A whisper that asks the same question Belize has carried for over 2 decades. Where is he now? What did you think about the Belize Ripper case? Do you think he'll ever get caught? Thanks for watching our video on the notorious Belize Ripper case. We hope you found it insightful. Please like, share, and subscribe. Your support means a lot to us. Until next time.